What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys enjoyed the conference championship games that just happened. 49ers completely rolled the Green Bay Packers, and the Chiefs and Titan games. That was pretty good too. Not bad. A lot of action. A lot of pretty good plays. But what's his name? Raheem Mostert. Oh my goodness, for the 49ers. What a performance from him. Over 200 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns. Unstoppable. Alright. 1 second, and we will get right into this. Alrighty. Alright, who we got in the chat? Who we got? Angel Hernandez, Recent 23, Tyler Rocky in the chat. What's going on, everybody? Hope you guys had a great weekend. Again, hope you enjoyed the football games that just took place. Let me just pull up my chat real quick. Alright, don't forget to slap that like button, folks. Alright. Taking a look at the nation, week number 14. There's only 2 regular season weeks left in season number 2 of our FCS Dynasty, folks. We got 8 games this week, and then 6 in week 15. And then after that, it's the conference championship week, and then bowl season. But let's go ahead and take a look here. Undefeated no more. Ohio needs overtime to knock off unbeaten Akron. Let me know if you guys can hear the music or not, or if it's too loud, you know, all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and take a look at that Sports Illustrated right quick. Bowl rankings. Can they do it? The Trent Green-led Flyers are looking at a potential national championship appearance. Regear Productions in the chat. Tom Schaefer, how you doing? Let's take a look at those bowl rankings. Dayton, number 1. Savannah State at number 2. Tulane at number 3. They have a big game this week as they travel to take on the 6th-ranked Bryant Bulldogs. So watch out for that game. Game of the week. VMI number 4. Boise State 5. I believe Boise State is undefeated. Yes, they are. 11-0. Their regular season is over. New Mexico State is 6. Bryant at 7. Cal Poly at 8. Southern Utah down at 11, Jacksonville at 12, UC Davis at 14, William & Mary rounds out the bowl rankings at number 15. And on to the top 25. I posted this in the Discord community already, but let's take a look at it again anyway. Zips suffer overtime loss. Undefeated Akron meets its match in Ohio, losing 24-21 in overtime. All right, Dayton at 1, Savannah State. So this is a potential national championship game right here. The Flyers with 47 first-place votes. Savannah State actually has 0. Tulane with 13. New Mexico State with 1. VMI at 5. Bryant at 6. So VMI actually leapfrogs Bryant after the Bulldogs had a bye week, and VMI topped William & Mary, who was ranked 11th at the time, 35-14. Boise State at number 7, 11-0. Again, their regular season is over. Cal Poly at 9. They are 8-2. They got 2 games left in the regular season, as does the Southern Utah Thunderbirds, who just dropped 4 spots after their 31-21 loss to the UC Davis Aggies. Buffalo at 12. Jacksonville at 13. And they have 2 games left on the season as well. Their next game is at Alabama State. That's an SEC matchup. We'll be seeing that this week. UC Davis, their regular season is finished after their win over Southern Utah. So they are ranked 14th currently at 10-2. So it still remains to be seen who's going to be winning the Pac-10 at this point. It's a 3-way tie between Cal Poly, Southern Utah, and UC Davis. Let's see, UTEP, their next game, they will be at Southern Utah. So that is another big-time game for the Thunderbirds. Another top 25 matchup for them. William & Mary dropped 6 more spots after the loss to VMI. The next game is against the Phoenix. And we will see William & Mary again. They'll be taking on the Savannah State Tigers in the ACC title game. Montana at 21. North Dakota State jumps up 3 spots to 22nd in the nation. They are 8-3. Look at all of these records. Like, everybody has at least 8 wins. Like, there's just so many teams that are just blowing through competition. Northeastern, the only team in here with 7 victories at 7-2. And they're having a really good year. They just beat Norfolk State 28-14. And I believe that the Huskies only won 1 or 2 games last season altogether. So a huge and quick turnaround for Northeastern. Youngstown State in the rankings at 24. They just beat Montana State 37-20. And Rice back in the rankings, led by quarterback Matt Howell. All right, that's it for the top 25. Noah in the chat. What's going on, brother? Let's take a look at the Heisman watch, folks. Where does he stand? Zoomer Speed has rushed for 1,269 yards and 22 touchdowns in his sophomore year. And look at how clean that jersey is. If only it looked like that during the actual game. But, you know, they got to have that black outline glitch on the numbers. Great. All right. So, no movement here at the top 4. Zoomer Speed is the only newcomer. He's at number 5 on the list. And, of course, it is led by Brandon Allen. 34 total touchdowns. And, I mean, he's just such a monster. He has 2,800 yards of offense. That is crazy. Mr. Highlight, 2,545 all-purpose yards, 33 total touchdowns. The guy is an absolute freak of nature. And MJ Gator Jr., the Heisman winner from season number 1, is at a respectable number 3 right now on the list. 34 total touchdowns as well, just like Brandon Allen. But Allen, of course, with 2,800 yards. MJ just lacking a little bit in the yards department by about, 800 at this point. And Kingsley Massey, he just had 10 catches, 102 yards, and a touchdown in Boise State's regular season finale. So he finishes the regular season with 1,425 yards on 86 receptions with 18 touchdowns. And Zoomer Speed, 22 receptions on the season to go along with his 1,200 yards, rushing 28 total touchdowns. He does it all for the Bison. Owen Black in the chat. QB1 in the house. What's going on, buddy? Awards finalists. I believe we already took a look at the top 3. Making the cut, Trent Green from Dayton is our pick to win the best tight end. And making the cut, they cut off the top of his head right there. Amazing. Great journalist right there. Gotta love that. But yeah, we already looked at these, so I'm not going to get back into this. But we will go ahead and take a look at the award winners, obviously, when they are announced. Bowl projections. I don't think there's any change in any of these right now, but we'll go ahead and take a quick look through these again. Let's see. Boise State versus Norfolk State. Oh my, that would be such a blowout. Alright, we finally see our first team, Northern Colorado, in the Insight Bowl versus Brown. I think Northern Colorado would win that one pretty easily with their ground attack. Alright. Southern Utah and South Dakota State in the Holiday Bowl. Yeah, I don't think there's been any change in any of this. Obviously, Villanova's not going to make it into the Sun Bowl here with a 3-8 record. It's just not going to happen. But a lot of these are just not going to happen at all. Let's see here. UC Davis in the Rose Bowl game. So it looks to me like UC Davis, it says that they're the Pac-10 leader currently. Now, their regular season is over. Southern Utah still has 2 games left in the regular season, and so does Cal Poly. So it's going to be really interesting to see if either of those teams moves up in front of UC Davis to claim the Pac-10 and get a Rose Bowl berth. But this is our projected national title game, the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl, Savannah State and Dayton. That would be one heck of a matchup for sure. All right, players of the week. Mr. Highlight, 290 all-purpose yards, 5 total touchdowns. And Bully Cooper for the Northern Colorado Bears, sophomore, strong safety, 13 tackles, 2 for loss, a sack, and 3 picks. He is a monster. The ACC, Jeremy Carroll, 377 yards passing, 8 touchdowns on just 15 completions. He was slanging that tater like he stole something. I mean, he was just beating everybody up in that secondary. it was nasty. And I loved every second of it. I'm not going to lie to you. William Anderson, outside linebacker for Howard. 12 tackles, 2 for loss, sack, and a pick. And a win over Bethune-Cookman. Chip Joseph for Youngstown State. 332 yards through the air, 5 touchdowns. And the win over Montana State. Curtis Graham, freshman outside linebacker for the Sycamores of Indiana State. Had 14 tackles, 1 for loss, a pick, and a forced fumble. Trey Brady, the speedster for Western Carolina. I believe he has a 99 speed rating at wide receiver for the Catamounts. He had 15 catches, 301 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And a win over Southeast Missouri State. Wow, my goodness. Mike Goodman, freshman defensive tackle for the Chattanooga Mocs. He had 8 tackles, 2 for loss, a sack, and a forced fumble. And the Big East, also known as the Ivy League, here on the channel. 25 carries, 238 yards, 3 touchdowns for Jesse Harris, senior halfback for the Brown Bears. And Dustin Auguste, 5 tackles, a pick, and a touchdown for the Cornell Big Red in a win over the Penn Quakers. Conference USA, Andy Stevenson, freshman receiver, 8 catches, $191, 3 touchdowns. Freshman middle linebacker Pat Stewart for the Citadel had 2 tackles and a touchdown. Would be nice to see if it was a pick 6 or a scoop and score. We'll never know. In the Independents, Lawrence Tompkins, we saw him run for over 500 yards against the South Dakota State Jackrabbits. And he didn't do a whole lot in this game. He did have 2 touchdowns in the win over Wofford. And for Wofford, Titus Taylor, junior outside linebacker, he had 9 tackles, 2 for loss, a sack, and a forced fumble in the drubbing against the Navy midshipmen. Out of the MAC, John Trott, redshirt junior halfback, in the 24-21 overtime victory over the then undefeated Akron Zips. He had 162 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns. Nathan Goff, freshman middle linebacker for the Ball State Cardinals, 10 tackles, 3 for a loss, a sack, and a forced fumble in the win over Central Michigan, 30-23. The Mountain West, Lance Peterson, junior quarterback, threw for 162 yards, ran for 141 more, had 5 total touchdowns in the 46-17 shellacking of the Wyoming Cowboys. Michael Newsom, redshirt senior outside linebacker for the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. He had 11 tackles, 2 for loss, a sack, and 2 forced fumbles in a win over Murray State. JT Munoz, out of the Pac-10, Sacramento State, freshman quarterback. In their win over the San Diego Toreros, he threw for 379 yards, and he had 4 total touchdowns. And we know what Bully Cooper did in that 91-23 victory over Northern Arizona. Mr. Highlight, we saw him, National Offensive Player of the Week. And Justin Tate, Alabama A&M junior left end, had 13 tackles, 7 for a loss, 3 sacks, forced fumble, and a fumble recovery in a close loss to the Elkhorn State Braves. Out of the Sun Belt, Glenn Cummings, redshirt senior quarterback, tossed that pigskin around the field for 323 yards and 6 scores. Freshman free safety Matt Grant for Georgia Southern, he had 6 tackles, 4 for loss, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble in a close victory over the Samford Bulldogs, 24-17. On to the WAC, our final conference, Eddie Amati threw for 330 yards, 5 touchdowns for the Idaho Vandals. And they are 2-8 on the season, but he has been the lone bright spot for them. Marcus Motley, redshirt junior outside linebacker for the Boise State Broncos, undefeated on the season. He had 3 tackles, all of them for a loss, a sack, and a touchdown. That is the Players of the Week. Let's take a look at those conference standings, folks. And we're up to 14 viewers. Just realized it. Awesome. Love you guys. Appreciate you checking this video out. The number 9 Tigers improved to 6-1 in the conference with a home win versus Jackson State. Home cooking. All right, the ACC, we know what this matchup is already. William and Mary, they will be having a rematch with the Savannah State Tigers in the ACC title game. The Big Ten, oh boy, I don't think Dayton is going to win the Big Ten right now. And they might make it into the national championship game, but their conference play is over. Their final game is against Ohio. So that's going to be really interesting to see if Dayton does not win their conference and still ends up in the championship game. But of course, Youngstown State also had a fantastic season. They're 8-3, just as the Montana Grizzlies are as well. 7-1 in conference. So we got a 3-way tie here, but Montana did defeat Dayton earlier in the season. The Big 12, North Dakota State, they've won their last conference game of the season. If South Dakota State loses their next game as they host the Furman Paladins, we will see North Dakota State in the Big 12 title game taking on the VMI Keydets. Oh my goodness, that would be one heck of a matchup. Keydets 7-0 in conference so far this season. They have one more that is at Tennessee Tech. And Tennessee Tech, they are bowl eligible now, but still fighting. They would love to upset the Keydets. On to the Big East, Penn at 6-1. I mean, this could still go either way here. Penn, Princeton, or Brown could still win it. Conference USA, it's going to be the Wildcats or the Dukes taking on the Miners or the Green Wave. So, two-way tie right there. Like it. Love it. Northeastern, of course, 7-2. Navy, 6-4. Army, they need one more victory to become bowl eligible. And they do have 2 more games left on their schedule. Not every school scheduled 12 opponents for some reason. I'm not sure why, but it's all right. On to the MAC. Buffalo, they are done in conference play. It looks like they're going to be taking on Ball State for the MAC title. That should be a fun game. Mountain West was won by the UNLV Rebels already. They are 9-2 on the season, 7-1 in conference. So they claim now in Eastern Kentucky, oh so close to becoming the first FCS school to win that conference. On to the Pac-10. Here is the mayhem, folks. We have 4 of our schools right at the top. And it's obviously, well, right now it's a two-way tie. Cal Poly's next game is against the Eastern Washington Eagles. And the Eagles, of course, they're having a rough season, as we can see them right down here at the bottom. 3-7 on the year. And just the 4 bottom teams here, just a real rough season for all of them. But UC Davis, their season is finished in the regular season. And we're going to see one more conference game here with Cal Poly. If they win it, it's going to be a 3-way tie. So I have no idea what's going to happen with this championship for the Pac-10. The SEC is going to be Tennessee State versus the Jacksonville Dolphins. Another matchup. They played twice last year. The Tigers beat the Dolphins in the regular season last season. And then the Dolphins, of course, went on to beat them in the SEC championship game. The Dolphins beat the Tigers in the regular season this season. Will the Tigers get revenge in the title game? It should be another fun rematch. The Sun Belt is going to be won by the Florida International Golden Panthers. They are 7-0 in conference. And let's see, they got a game against an SEC opponent here, Alabama A&M. But they already won that conference. And on to the WAC, Boise State, they claim that one. Undefeated on the season. Their next game is going to be their bowl game. And that is it. Let's see, what else, folks? What else is there? I don't know what you guys want to look at. Let's see here. Colin Northrup in the chat. How you doing, buddy? All right, let's see. Let's take a look at the report cards for the coaches. Everybody's job security is pretty good, except for Jack Brown. But rough season for them, and they're going to be looking to get back on track next season in year number 3 of the Dynasty. Jack Christie's numbers, 10-2, longest win streak of 6, which they're currently on. 2-1 versus top 25 schools, 1-0 versus rivals. Let's see, Scott Goldberg, the defending national champions, and he was also the coach of the year in year number 1. So they had a 18-game winning streak snapped when they finally lost to William & Mary this season. They've lost twice now this year. The other game was against the Savannah State Tigers. Dayton, of course, they've only had one game against another subscriber school so far in this dynasty, which they won, and that was their bowl game last season, I believe. Let's see. 5-2 versus top 25 in John Gruden's career. 2-0 versus rivals, 1-0 bowl record, 1 conference title, longest win streak of 14. They're currently riding a 6-game winning streak after losing to the Montana Grizzlies. Marvin Joseph, 3-4 versus top 25. Hasn't played a rival yet. 0-1 in bowl games, but he does have that SEC title from last season. Your job security is definitely more than fine, Marvin. Just keep doing what you're doing, man. Jim Langer, South Dakota State. Job security is perfect. They are currently on a 1-game losing streak. You gotta love it. Let's see, longest win streak of 6. 2-2 versus top 25s. Now, we did go ahead and get a bunch of defensive recruits in season for the Jackrabbits, so their defense should be infinitely better next season. And that's really been their downfall so far in all of their losses in this series. Raul Lozano, longest win streak of 8 for the Cal Poly Mustangs. 2-0 versus rivals, 2-2 versus top 25. And they did just lose to Southern Utah in their last game, 18-14, a very close game. Seth Maddox, 22-3 at Savannah State in his 2 seasons. Currently on a 7-game winning streak. Longest win streak is 12. I believe, yeah, they were 12-0 headed into their game against the Bryant Bulldogs in the ACC Championship game last year, if I'm not mistaken. They have lost twice this year, but they are ready to get into that national championship game. They just need to beat the William and Mary Tribe just one more time. Colin Northrup, his first season at North Dakota State, and he has been a breath of fresh air for the Bison as they are 8-3, currently riding a 5-game winning streak. And Noah Regier, he has rejuvenated the Thunderbirds roster, and just the whole stadium just goes nuts in every home game. Now, they did just lose at UC Davis. That was Regier's first loss as a head coach after starting off 9-0. But, I mean, he has such a great future ahead of him. Got high hopes. Michael Tops for the Northern Colorado Bears. I believe he's the only coach that has scored 90 points twice, unless Savannah State did it once last year. What's your security? Your job security is perfectly fine, Colin. But the next Bears football game, they'll be hosting the Akron Zips, who just suffered their first loss on the season. Bears are 2-6 versus the top 25 in these first 2 seasons. 1-0 in bowl games. Longest win streak of 4. They have been infinitely better this season, though. Last year, they had to win out to get to a bowl game. This year, they're safe. They got a bowl bid, and we will definitely see them in the bowl season. But that is it, folks, for taking a look at the nation for week number 14. I don't know if you guys want me to look at anything else, but that's going to be it for this stream. We have 2 games tomorrow night. Let's see what they are real quick. This is a huge game in Brookings, South Dakota. The Jackrabbits need to win that game. If they lose it, North Dakota State will go on to win that division and take on the VMI Cadets in the Big 12 title game. So they cannot afford to lose this game. Furman, they do have a pretty solid rushing attack. 49th, not amazing, but if you can look down on the right side over here, South Dakota State, 117th rush defense. I don't have any faith in their ability to stop the run against anyone. So I think Furman might have a little bit of success running the football against the Jacks. And Furman also has a pretty solid defense, a top 30 defense in the nation. So that is going to be a tough matchup for the Jackrabbits coming off a loss. And let's see, our next game is VMI at Tennessee Tech. The Cadets, they already won their division. This game doesn't really matter too much, but you know they would like to get another win here and get some momentum, a little bit more momentum as they head into the Big 12 title game versus either South Dakota State or North Dakota State. But that is it. Those are our games for tomorrow. If you're not in the Discord community yet, I don't know what you're doing. You're not doing anything right. I know that. Hope to see you guys in there. But that is going to be it for this video, guys. I will see you in the Discord, and I'll see you tomorrow night with our doubleheader. Take it easy, guys.